Hey everybody, Monday night 8:15. We do this every week to answer your questions. Every weekend I usually put up my post saying we're going to be going live, and usually I post that the first 3 people to respond will get their questions answered. So our subjects for tonight are, I think it's really going to hit home for a lot of people, just because these are questions that I get actually quite a bit, which is good because it's more that we get to learn about these types of situations. And I think that can go a long ways for people that are struggling with their dogs. So tonight we've got 3 questions. 2 of them are going to kind of relate a little bit. So the first one we've got is fear of noises that we're going to cover. The second one we're going to cover is dogs that bark at every noise. And as you can see from the title of this video, I think we're going to probably hit home with a lot of different scenarios here. And then the third is, my dog's got great recall until. And that until can be, I think the person wrote, the deer, cats, squirrels, who knows. It can really, it's funny. I got to tell you this. I always get the client, and please understand I'm not making fun of anybody here whatsoever, but we can sometimes get the really, really aggressive dogs that come to us, and they can be just like dogs that can be bad towards other dogs. And I get my dog is so sweet and so lovable and he's such a good dog until he wants to kill another dog. Well, guess what? He may not be that great of a dog overall. So it's one of those things as to what you want to create. But we'll get into all that. So Leslie, Andrea, and Ara, and Astrid, Jesus, you guys are right on it tonight. Man, cool stuff. All right, so again, I'm going to go down through these questions that the people have commented ahead of time, and then I will get back to your other questions here. So feel free, if you have a question, I will certainly be more than happy to get back to it. So here we go. Astrid, I see that you're on here, and your question or your statement was fear of noises. So to go along with that, Astrid, as I'm kind of starting to talk here, I would love to hear some of these issues or some of these noises that maybe your dog is really, really having a hard time with. Now, there can be so many aspects to fear of noises, from thunderstorms to somebody coughs or sneezes. I don't know if you guys were big fans of Dog Whisperer episodes. I remember there was a dog on there that if somebody coughed or sneezed, the dog is literally trying to find his way out of the house and like up and over a fence and just trying to get away. Pretty drastic stuff for sure. I think we've only come across that once, I think, in all the years that I've been doing training. So it's not one of those normal occurrences, that's for sure. We look at the extremes, thunderstorms. I used to have a dog, Lula, that was deathly terrified of thunderstorms until she went deaf. It was like the ultimate, savior for her as far as her comfort level. I think we have to look at the noises. So let's say it can be a door opening and closing, maybe like the front door, something like that. It can be if somebody drops something. Really, so noises from behind, Astrid says. I don't know what that means. Like behind you, I'm guessing. But here's the thing, that fear comes from a really, really sensitive place. Meaning that dog is so sensitive, it's always just on edge of waiting to hear something before, something happens, and then the dog's like, I'm out of here, or whatever the case may be. And if you think about it, that dog's state of mind is always on edge. You hear the statement a lot, my dog isn't comfortable in its own skin, or I'm not comfortable in my own skin. This is really what it's all about. So he once had a skateboard from behind at the skateboard park, and now he won't walk by it. Here's the thing, you guys, and the advice I'm going to give here, obviously, again, is going to go towards Astrid here and her dog. So please understand that too, and that, you guys, that goes along with any advice that I give. I'm just going to try to give some sort of advice to that person with their dog. And that's the big part of it here. So, when it comes to skateboards and that kind of thing, we have to go back. You guys, I say this almost every week. If this is like a skateboard park, number one, does your dog really need to go buy it? Okay? If yes, all right. We have to do that threshold work. We have to create enough space away from what bothers them to be able to work with them in that zone, whether it's 100 feet or 100 yards. We've got to get that dog far enough back to where we can still communicate with our dog and be able to accomplish what we need to accomplish. And if we can communicate with our dog, great. Maybe the next session we work a little bit closer and communicate. So it's, again, you guys, I talk about this threshold work all the time because it is so important in the dog world. We don't want to set the dog up to fail and go, okay, you're afraid of bikes, so I'm going to put you at the start-finish line of the Tour de France. That's not a win-win for anybody, and that's not setting you up to succeed. It's not setting your dog up to succeed. It's setting everybody up for failure, and that ends quickly and badly. So again, I think without seeing the dog, Astrid, I just would want to make sure that dog is very, very comfortable in the house. I would want to make sure that the dog has a nice, safe place to go, and that safe place might be a crate. It might be up against the side of the couch. You know what I mean? I want to give them a great place to go that they feel safe. So if a dog is uncomfortable in its own skin, and let's say this fear of noises and all these different things that happen, we have to give them a safe place. The other part of this, too, that you may not think about is overall ambient noise. And that could be a TV, it could be a radio, to where it drowns out some of the other noise that they may be afraid of. Somebody on here, and I saw it just scroll up by, was gunshots. Depending on how close they are, if you hear one, maybe we turn something up a little bit louder if it's off in the distance and they can't hear it. If the gunshots are close, I can't help you. Maybe you need to talk to Fish and Game or something like that. But we want to find a place that we can create a safe place for your dog, number one. Number two, I think challenging that dog mentally is a great way to go about it too. So these mental training sessions where we can kind of drain some of that energy is good. And also too, maybe, getting your dog out and giving them a good romp a few times a week where they can really get that energy out, to where when they do sleep or when they are walking around the house, they're a little bit more at ease too. So those are just a few things that I would probably throw at you to just kind of get the ball rolling with the fear of noises. But here's the thing, you guys. That fear of noises is a dog that is very, 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 very sensitive. Now, I'm going to flip the script on you here. A dog that lunges towards other dogs or towards people is very, 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 very sensitive as well. But that dog has just learned that if he or she makes this noise and lunges and moves towards somebody or another dog, that creates a lot of space. So that dog is learning how to create space, and it's also learning that, hey, I'm so sensitive. If something comes close, then I'm going to move forward. This dog that's fear of noises is, I'm just going to move along, and if I hear something, I'm going backwards. So you see the difference? That dog that lunges, that's really sensitive, goes forward. The dog that's really nervous and scared of every noise is going to go backwards. And that's really, it can be a temperament thing. There's a whole number of factors that lead into it. But again, the dog is very sensitive. The more direction that we can create, the better. And then that's going to be for any dog anyways, too. But, all right. Robin, dogs that bark at every noise. And again, remember I said at the beginning of the show here, these first two are really related. And again, same thing. It's a very, very sensitive dog. So for the dog that barks at every noise, that dog is very sensitive. Think of it this way, intensity of 1 through 10, okay? 1 through 10 intensity. Let's say this dog that's fear of noises can be walking around at an 8, and then it hears something and it's just walking around tense. The same thing can be said about the dog that wants to bark at everything, except this dog may go around looking for it, or it's just constantly on alert, which again, if you think about it, that's a very intense state of mind. if you think about somebody that's, I don't want to say high energy, but if you think about somebody that's really forward, really just ramped up all the time, that person, that's the same energy as it is for a dog that barks at every noise. They're just up on edge and they're just ready to go. So if they hear something, if they're walking around the house and they're up on edge and somebody knocks on the door, forget about it. They're at level 8 and they can get to 10 that quick, and it happens really, really quickly. So again, we can sit there and correct that dog for making that noise, but to me it runs deeper than that. It runs way deeper. We've got to bring that overall intensity level down. Because if our dog is already at level 8 and it hears a knock on the door, we've got to come in and try to correct it at level 8 or even higher. And sometimes that's not pretty, and I don't want to do that to a dog. I want to try to find a very gentle way of doing that. So instead, I'm probably going to stage something to where I can actually work with my dog. So maybe I've got the dog on leash in the house. It's quiet. There's nothing going on. I walk over to the door and I knock on it. And I open it up and there's nothing there. So I think that's something to consider, is trying to almost create a new sense of being for that dog when it hears the noises. The other thing you could do is probably knock on the door and then give your dog a treat, as long as they don't bark or whine or cry or anything like that. And I think that's important too. So there's a couple of different ways that you can go about it. So Astrid, I see you said he's in the house, he's quite lazy. So that means that the work has to be done outside the house. And look, that sometimes isn't easy, but that's where that threshold work comes into play. You've got to find that happy place where you're far enough away that you can still work with him, and you're not too close that he is just like, he can't focus, he's out of it, whatever, and you just got to get out of Dodge and start a different day. That's all there is to it. So again, you guys, these noises, whether it's the fear of them or the barking at every one of them, again, you just have a really, really sensitive dog. And I think it's important you guys know that I'm not trying to like desensitize the dog in general. I just want to find a better state of mind for the dog to be in. And I think that's really important when it comes to that type of thing, is just create overall a more relaxed sense of being. And you guys, that comes from fulfilling your dog. So I'm not saying that you're not, but I think if you're coming to me with these issues or these questions, I think we have to look at a different way to fulfill them. It might be mentally, might be physically. I don't do a ton physically. I mean, obviously we want our dogs to have romp time and that kind of thing and some playtime. But I don't think that we have to worry about running our dogs 5 miles a day just to like chill them out. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things. So, and you guys, we got a lot of questions here, so I'm gonna try to get through this other one here, and then hopefully I can get back and get to all your questions, because this is getting some attention tonight. We're up in the 20s, which doesn't sound like a lot for a live feed, but this is pretty good. So now Erin wrote, my dog's got great recall until distraction, which I think she said was around like cats or deer. I don't have any deer handy to practice. If you do, if you can call 1-800-IAN, that would be great. Because we always get a lot of dogs that, I mean, deer just run, that prey drive kicks in, and it's just one of those things. Now, going back to this, my dog has great recall until there's the major distraction. So let's look at it this way. The way out is the way in. I know that may sound a little crazy, but to me, we need to work that dog by that or near that distraction on leash, and probably on a longer leash, because you guys, it goes back again, everything just kind of circumvents itself here. It goes back to that threshold work. So if you know there's a cat somewhere, in her case, I think, in Erin's case, I think she wrote something about a cat. If you know where there's a cat, again, we have to create that space away from that cat to where we can communicate with the dog, and then be able to work with the dog in that area. And eventually work things, work the whole scenario closer and closer and closer and closer. I'm gonna say this again. We had a client in Maine who was doing some work with her dog. I'm sure this is way before my time. I called it the parking lot technique, where her dog would not like cars moving and would react, and people as well. So I told her, go sit in the corner of a parking lot, and like the way back corner of the parking lot, like a grocery store or a Lowe's or a Walmart or something really big like that, and create a lot of distance. The cool part about that scenario is that no dogs and no people are coming towards you in that scenario. Everybody's just moving around like a bee's nest, right? And they're not coming near you at all. So to your dog, this is like, wow, wait, nobody's coming near me. I don't need to create my space. I can just sit back here and we're cool. Mom or dad's going to just handle everything. Then that's easy. Well, she took it a step further and actually measured out how many parking spaces it was until there was the closest car or person. Well, when she started, it was like 22 or 23 parking spots. Now it's down to 6 because she's put in the time to practice this to where she can get closer and closer, and her dog realizes, hey, nothing bad has actually happened the amount of times that we've been here. And I think that's a pretty cool concept to be able to practice. If somebody approaches you, you stop them, you say, hey, I'm sorry, my dog's in training, please just give us space. And I think that's important to be able to do that too. Hopefully as dog people, chances are it's a dog person that's going to come towards you. Hopefully dog people will understand that, but sometimes dog people are the worst. We can get into that another night, but that's just one of those situations. So again, so those are the 3 questions that everybody seemed to have at the beginning of the weekend. So I'm going to zip back through all of these. So Ara, so you did go 30-day board and train. Excellent. Good. Hold on, guys. I'm just going to go through everything. Amy, my dog, seems to bark when he's told no. So don't say no, he won't bark, right? Sounds too easy. What about cars pulling in the driveway from Christy? Yeah, Christy, it's the same thing. I think it has to be staged to where you maybe you have a friend that pulls in the driveway just in their car and they don't get out, and you can practice with your dog. But you guys, staging things, you guys, is going to help you out so much. Instead of waiting for when it actually happens, and you don't have time to prepare, and you gotta go over here and go get the leash, and then you gotta go over here and get the dog, and the dog's going crazy and jumping at the curtains and the door and the doorknob and scratching, and everything's breaking loose. Instead of calling one of your friends and saying, hey, I just need you to come over here and come in the driveway and just stay there, then that gives you the opportunity to go, okay, I know the car's coming. Maybe I'll get the leash on now and just hang out. And then car pulls in and then you can work with him. So I think that's where it comes into play, you guys. Stage. That's your way out of a lot of these situations. Kim, what about a senior dog that has abuse and trust issues? There's a lot in that question, especially with that senior dog and not knowing, the past or with you or anything like that, Kim. But to me, I would probably consult a professional on that, because if he's got trust issues, I can't tell you to say, hey, do this with a person and go from there and test it out. That's not safe, and that's not helping your dog. Leslie, we've been hiking with bikes, kids, dogs. Awesome. This has been life-changing for us. But if someone says, oh, what a cute lab, and tries to pet them, no. That's great. Good. Make sure you're sticking up for your dogs, you guys. My Yorkie barks every time one of us leaves the house. He's terrible. Make sure, Patricia, that you don't say goodbye to your dog, that you don't make it an event. I think just walking out of the house, whether you crate them or whatever you do, just leave. No goodbyes, no throwing the treats and running out the door or anything like that. The less of an event, the better. And again, practice it when you're not going anywhere. Or you just, some random Saturday where you're off, you're not going to work or doing anything, you just walk out the door and come back in and go sit back down on the couch. Your dog's going to look at you like, what the heck was that? When you leave, you're normally gone for a while. and repeat that over and over again until the dog doesn't react, and then create more time that you're gone. 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, something like that. Brandy, my chocolate barks like crazy at everything when my husband isn't home. When it is just the kids and I, it is something I have done. Is it something I have done, and what can I do to change it? Brandy, I would probably suggest some training of some sort there, because this is a dynamic at home that might need some tweaking. So if you let me know where you're at, then I can certainly maybe point you in the right direction. And you guys, that goes for everybody, all right? I don't want you to think that every time I say get some professional help that you've got to call me or message me. You can certainly just send me a message on here and say, hey, I am in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and I need a trainer. I will certainly try to find somebody for you. So as much as I'm giving help here, you guys, my network is building and building and building, so I think we might be able to find somebody in your area too, okay? Hopefully. I know that wasn't the case for Era. Christy, am I holding him in the same spot when the car pulls in, making him sit, giving a treat? Christy, there's a few different things that you can do here, from just waving the treat in front of his nose to trigger his nose. If he's not taking any food at this point, then you're just too close to the whole situation. And again, maybe this is where that ambient noise helps you out, where, again, if you stage something with somebody coming over and you just have the TV on a little louder, then that works. But then, so this, and again, this is specifically for you, Patricia, it really boils down to the logistics of, are you living in a town? Are you living in a country? Is it a long driveway, short driveway, all that kind of stuff. So I guess, my advice to you, Patricia, would send me a message and kind of let me know what your overall setting environment is like. And then I can certainly see if I can come up with something that might help you out from there. So I think that's the best thing I can offer you. Patricia will do, never gave him treats for bad behavior. Good. We'll practice with him on your advice. Good. You guys, I don't know if you noticed, last week I went live with some muzzle conditioning for this dog Jax that we've had. And we did it for probably, I think I did it on Thursday or Friday. I can't remember without looking back at it quickly. And then I had Matt and Nick working on it on the dog this weekend. Guess what? Monday, took the muzzle, slid it right on the dog like nothing, buckled him in the back, and then we brought him into social. And you guys, that muzzle conditioning can go a long, long, long ways. If you guys have a dog that might be a little aggressive or snappy, muzzles are a fantastic tool, you guys. Fantastic. And again, I say this a lot, and I'll say it again. If you were walking around with your dog on a muzzle, I would be shocked if somebody went, oh, what a cute puppy. Can I walk up and pet it? Like, are you not that bright, if you know what I mean? So the muzzles create a lot of space. Again, if somebody's walking towards you with a dog on a muzzle, normally you're like, I'm going to get out of here and move over the other side of the road and go down and then cross back over. So looking at it from that aspect, muzzles are fantastic. The other thing, if you guys notice too, that tonight, when some of this advice that I'm giving, you might notice that I'm telling you to put the leash on the dog inside the house. I think it was like last year or something I realized this. Dog trainers will actually use a leash more inside than outside, where dog owners will actually use a leash more outside than inside. But that access inside on a leash controls and changes a lot of different scenarios. Instead of trying to chase your dog around the house when somebody's coming over, you can take that time to really, really, really work with them. So I will tell you, I've been scheming about something maybe possibly for Thursday evening. I'm not 100% sure yet. I'm still trying to work out the kinks, but I'm 50-50 right now, so you can't hold me to this. I don't want to, take the cat out of the bag here yet at all, but hopefully I'll let you know what's going on. But I'll give you a hint. There might be a chance of another live feed on Thursday night. So just keep those notifications on. If I do, it'll be a last minute thing. And if I do, here's a second hint. I told you I'm not going to take the cat out of the bag, but it's close. If I do, it'll probably be in the evening. So, Leslie, how do I get Bond to calm down to put on the leash? He gets crazy for hikes. Well, probably grabbing the leash is the first part of the problem, because again, that's when your dog starts the walk to them or starts the hike. I would just practice grabbing that leash and then hanging it back up, waiting for him to chill out. Go over, grab the leash. He gets crazy, you put it back up. So he realizes that this crazy state of mind isn't going to work. That's for sure. Asked, are you doing open house again this year? Yeah, you guys, that's the plan. Last year we did our first celebration of dogs event. I can't remember if it was August or September. Isn't that terrible? My gosh. And it was a huge success for our very first one. So I think we're going to be doing it again probably the same time of year. And I'm trying to get a food truck out there. I think that'd be awesome. So yeah, that's our plan, is to do our open house. And we had a blast last year doing it. I know we had a ton of people show up again for our very first one. So it's a good time, that's for sure. But you guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. Another good solid 30 minutes here of some Q&A, and hopefully you can take some of this advice and put some of it into your life. Again, you guys, I love pouring out all this content to you guys. I feel like I've helped more people in the last year than probably like the previous 10 years combined with everything. So you guys, every Monday night at 8:15, tell your friends, share this on your page. You're not going to hear me ask you to buy anything from me. You're not going to hear me say, hey, buy a book, buy a DVD, nothing. You're not going to hear of any of that. And that's partially what I take pride in. If you seek me out for training, obviously that's a little bit different. But this is just me sharing my experience, sharing what I've learned from other trainers, and just kind of combining it into my own little world. I will tell you, you guys, this video of the body language video I think I put up last week is getting a lot of attention, and there's a lot to learn from it too. So you'll probably have to scroll back a little bit, but it's between this German short hair pointer Zeke and this little Murphy yellow lab puppy, and there's a lot of really good body language. It's 4 or 5 minutes. And I think you guys will truly enjoy it. And it's 5 minutes worth of some valuable information when it comes to body language. That's for sure. So Denise, I'm in Hyde Park, Vermont. So we're just north of Stowe. Not sure where you're at, obviously, but so yeah, you guys. So next week, 8:15, same thing on Monday night. Thursday might be iffy, but if it works, I think you guys will really enjoy it. That's kind of what I'm hoping here. I think it could be a lot of fun if it works out right, but we'll see. I don't know. But you guys have a great night. As always, thank you for coming out. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for bringing your questions. I guess the one thing I can ask of you is just to share this post on your Facebook page. So Kelly, no, Molly doesn't need a muzzle. I don't think so. Not for excitement. So, but feel free to, and don't get close, Kelly. Okay, just don't get close. If she's just way over the top excited, you're too close. I would back her away and let her chill out. So, all right, you guys have a wonderful Monday night. Have a very good week, and as always, let me know if you need anything. I've got my shadow program coming up in June 4th to the 8th. Come spend a week with me at work, 5 straight days, tons of information, tons of training, client interactions, our socials, our classes, all that kind of stuff. So we've got 4 spots left. Let me know if you want in. You guys have a great week.